DJ Abomination.
Welcome back to the Team Nerd Herd podcast, where our best advice is if you want to do it right, collect what you like. Herd, we are super excited to bring you another Creator Spotlight interview, a segment we like to call, What If We Never Shut the F Up? Tonight, you'll find out. Without further ado, let's go ahead and introduce our guest. Now, you've definitely seen his work in Marvel Action Spider-Man, DC Titans, Rebirth, and you've definitely seen his work on Spawn. Recently, you've seen Codex, Null on Venom titles, and he's recently been dubbed that 1 in 1,000 by Boom Studios, Berserker.
Boom.
Team Nerd Herd, give a round of applause and a warm welcome to our friend, Jonboy Meyers. What's going on, Jonboy? Bring him in.
Hey, what's going on? I feel like someone just poured a bucket of Gatorade on me. I'm like,
Well deserved, though. It's a well deserved Gatorade.
The NFL's theme song is gonna be like, dun, 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 dun.
right?
we need to give you a ring.
I think Steve forgot. Like, you are one of the coolest, like most swag artists there is. Like, you have the most. Yeah, I gotta say, you have a lot of swag, bro.
I have zero swag. Ask my wife. It's like,
No.
you're so dumb. I'm like,
You know what? Your significant other is there to make sure that you're humbled, right?
yeah,
That's their job, to make sure that you're humbled.
yeah. I don't know. Like, you never want to get too high on the hog on yourself and drink your own Kool-Aid, because I've seen it happen with a lot of my friends where you get success really fast and it goes to your head and you just turn into a total a-hole, and you never want to do that, because there's so many guys out there who are so worthy of praise who aren't really getting it, and there's so much great competition out there. And the thing about comics these days is you're not up against just dudes, in the US. It's worldwide now, and the game out there worldwide is just like, it's amazing. People are crushing it, man. So for me, I'm super humble, super happy to get whatever jobs I can get. And I'm always just striving to try to do a good job, and just super happy that people like the work that I'm doing. So for the most part, I do occasionally troll the boards, and people say some pretty nasty stuff, man. I'm just like, man.
Really?
Yeah, it's like there's a lot of dicks out there. It's like, all right.
Bro, we got your back, bro. Like, hell
yeah.
yeah.
Sometimes people just want to be dicks, though.
Yeah, but I think honestly, though, it's good to kind of read it and understand it and say, just kind of keep yourself real and grounded, because it's just like, every time you kind of get full of yourself, it's kind of nice to get a little deflated and get back down to earth, because I think doing great in comics is just constantly about producing, and putting out great work and trying up the bar for yourself. And so often, like, a lot of artists get wrapped up in comparison, and it's always an individual race that you're running. The competition you should be involved with is with yourself, not with other artists, because then it's just like with me, I still beat myself up sometimes, where I'm comparing myself to like my heroes, and it just falls way short, and you're just like, oh.
Well, and it's unfair too, because I mean, there's so many different styles of art.
Yeah,
and so many great artists out there. I mean, I look at people like I grew up with, like Byrne and Lee, and that you can't compare that to like your style or Cho or some of these other guys. I mean, even like Temple Smith and stuff. It's not a fair fight. You know what I mean? And every style works differently for different things.
Yeah, I think art is very much, it's not a one style fits all kind of thing. Art is comics are so diverse, and I think it's just a different flavor, you know what I mean? And usually, hopefully, those flavors fit the narrative of that book or the character, But it's always good to have stuff that's different out there, because your takeaway is always something that's going to be different. Having an artist like Mignola, who is very shape driven and a chiaroscuro with a lot of blacks in it and things like that, kind of like bring a whole different level to the way they tell stories versus somebody like Jim Lee, who's so up in your face. You know what I mean? It's but both masters at their craft. I think it's just their approach is different. And I think there's those takeaways are always kind of really nice things to kind of walk away from, So, yeah. Anyway.
So who are some of your art heroes?
Those
big dudes.
I'm pretty braggadocious about my influences. Like for me, it was Michael Golden, J. Scott Campbell, Joe Madureira, Jason Pearson, and Arthur Adams were like the 5 guys who were super influential on me. It's probably because I was so into manga.
I can see that.
Yeah, I can see the influence.
Yeah, and those guys had a very kinetic sense to their work, and kind of had a manga feel to their work. And it was, for me, it's just kind of like a natural progression for me to just kind of gravitate to those guys' work, because it's like, well, it's what I like to do. It's something that I'm drawn to. So that's something that's always been like, those guys are like for me, they represent the pinnacle of what an artist professional is, the type of work they do, the body of work they have. Like that's stuff that I kind of hope to be there at their level someday. It's like, when I'm drawing a piece or doing a cover, I'm like, is this as good as something like Campbell would do or what Joe would do? Or, is this good enough tech? My tech always sucks. And like Michael Golden is so good at tech all the time. I'm just like, oh man, Michael Golden be like, this is crap, and rip it up. Do it again, So it's kind of good to have those things kind of weighing in the back of your mind because it pushes me to be a better artist. It's just at the end, when you're looking at a piece, it's like, hey, does this stand up to like my hero's work? Yes or no? Maybe sort of. But I mean, I have other heroes too, of course, like guys like Todd and Rob Liefeld, Jim Lee, Stuart Amonin. Ron Garney. I mean, there's so many guys out there just like crushing it, man. And you're just like, geez.
Ron Garney is so underrated.
He is.
Stuff he does, people don't realize it.
Yeah, he is a master storyteller, and he is so very gritty. Like his stuff is kind of like if Jim Lee and Frank Miller had a baby, it would be Ron Garney.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So it's pretty unique. But that's the thing about having your artistic influences, because you put all those influences in, and what spins up are things that kind of feel familiar but are their own takes. And these artists, as you progress as an artist, the idea is that you just kind of evolve into something else. Where you start is not where you end up, because you don't want your work to kind of stagnate and stay the same. You always want it to kind of improve or get refined or get better. At least you hope so, because like you have guys who have done that, like Bill Sienkiewicz, who started out very much kind of Neil Adams-y and just was amazing. But then look at the stuff that he's doing now, where it's hyper impressionistic, Sergio Tappi, kind of just this impressionistic, crazy storytelling art style that's kind of evolved past comics. It's almost like fine art when you look at the original art that he produces for his comics. It's pretty like, it's kind of like, it's just about refinement. It's kind of like you guys' podcast. Like when you guys start out, it's like,
you don't want to see that. You don't want to see that.
Don't look back at the catalog.
It's pretty raw, and I'm sure it's like you have your moments, but the thing about it is the energy is there, the potential is there, the camaraderie is there. It's like the spirit of what your show is still exists. It's just you're getting better at it, and you're refining what you guys do until you can bring it to a place where it's like, because like I think you guys are in this really good place now where it's like, hey, look, start creating more engagement. You know what I mean? It's like it'd be great that people can just live chat. Hopefully not bad things like, hey, Jonboy sucks or something like that, but like actually communicate live with the audience more, and everyone can kind of participate. It kind of gives you that kind of unknown X factor. It might not be always kid friendly though, so watch out. But,
I don't think we're ever really kid friendly in this show.
Right.
I mean, every show I announce myself as the asshole of the group. So
I know. I know assholes. I don't think you're an asshole.
my idol is Wilson Fisk. Kingpin.
He's an asshole when he needs to be, right? Because I'm a pretty cool dude. We're here to make money. Just just do what I tell you to do. It's okay. So,
you got to do what you got to do.
Ian would agree I'm an asshole.
Yeah, sometimes. Hey, John, can I ask you? So we were talking about like sometimes where you start, you end up somewhere else, right? And you have a pretty cool origin going on? Like we talked in the back room, like you were in biology before.
So this is what happens when you're growing up kind of like in the 80s and
Me
like
too.
art, like when you have your mom and dad don't really understand what you want because I always wanted to do comics and animation and they're like, yeah, that's nice. No, go and be a doctor, you know.
That's right.
So, you know, I
sounds like you had an Asian mom, man.
I did have
Like us.
mom, so.
Yeah, like us. Yeah.
Mine's Mexican.
Yeah, but I mean, there's this intense pressure to succeed and to do something that is considered more reputable. They always thought I was going to starve, and to a certain extent, as a comic artist, there were times when I did starve. But yeah, I went to school. I graduated. Went to this place called Midland University in Fremont, Nebraska, and majored in criminal science. I wanted to be a forensic scientist. And that didn't quite work out because after I graduated, I wanted to get into animation and comic books.
There you go.
I realized very quickly, like, you know, like I love doing this, but my passion is art. Because I took art classes while I was at school in college, and a lot of the art jobs that would come in, the art students would not actually get. They would actually give them to me. I'm just like, and my teacher was really cool about it because he'd just come in and be like, hey, his name was Mr. Theory, and he was a really cool dude. Had a ponytail, really laid back guy. I think he smoked a lot of weed, but he was a super cool dude. He always come to me and say, hey, John Boy.
I think I need to meet this guy.
Oh, he's a great dude, man. He was like, hey, John Boy, you know, I know you want to do science, but, you know, you should just give it out. You just do this art thing because, like, you're really good at it. You should really get back into it. He was really encouraging. He always pushed me to do stuff. Like, he got me into, like, making zinc plates, printmaking, wood carvings, oil painting, airbrushing. He got me, kind of sucked me back into art and was really encouraging to me. Like, he was super encouraging to me. So he was actually one of the guys that actually got me back into doing comics again and submitting. And this was the same time when Wildstorm was having their talent search. So while I was in college, I was doing comic book samples and sending them out to Jim Lee and getting nice form on. I was like, hey, this is cool, but not that cool, but keep trying, you know? So, yeah, it was pretty neat, you know, because a lot of good people got discovered that way, like Brett Booth and Scott Campbell and Bobby Rubio, a bunch of other guys. I mean, it's pretty neat. So, yeah, that's if I knew what I knew now, and would just focus on art, I probably would have ended up going to like School of Visual Arts in New York or Art Center in Pasadena or Cal Arts, and you know. One of those schools. Life
is a funny thing, though, huh? Like, if you try to rewind, then you don't end up where you are. Like, everything kind of leads up to today. Well,
you know? There's two theories on that, right? So they say but they say if you're meant to be doing something, no matter what you do, you'll always end up back on that path regardless, whether it's early in life or later in life. It's just for me, I started my comics career rather late. It gives me hope because Kirby was 45 when he created the Fantastic Four with Stan. So I was like, okay, there's hope for me. But like, you know, I just feel like I'm always playing catch up with my friends, you know, because they're so much younger, or they're like, oh, they're my age, and like, oh, they're so like respected and things like that. I'm just like, shit.
So are you though, man? Like you got
yeah.
I don't know about that. I don't
No.
know.
No.
I could not even skip out on this, bro. I'm like, no, I can't skip off the John Boy interview.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks. I mean, for me, like having industry respect from my peers, like that kind of thing is like, because then they're like, oh yeah, this guy's a cool dude. Like, hey, I'm one of the club. Hey, high five. You know. So I don't quite feel like I've arrived just yet. So, but yeah, that's the thing about it though, is like, that's kind of what keeps me going, is I want to produce great work and have work out there that kind of hangs with the people that inspired me. Cause like a lot of these guys now that I talked about, I've actually got to meet. Some of them are like, I would consider like, oh wow, these are art friends now. I can go up to them and talk to them and have a conversation. They wouldn't be like, get out of here, kid. So, I guess that's progress. You know, it's kind of nice to meet your heroes, and your heroes don't think you're a pest. So,
how was it having a beer with one of your heroes? Because I know you probably did, huh?
Oh, dude, it was surreal, man. It was like, oh my god.
Who was it?
Joe Matarera. We did lunch in Austin. It was
damn.
I was trying to keep my shit together, for real.
Right? You're trying to be cool and shit, but you're trying to like, oh,
Joe. Oh my god.
Ew, it's Joe, man. Oh my god.
Yeah, so
That's how I feel right now.
no, especially if you knew me, you're like, man, that guy's a jerk. But
No,
me, not jerk.
never that. Never that.
But yeah, it was a lot of fun, man. It's kind of nice hanging out with your heroes and kind of connecting on a different level because you feel like, wow, I made it. Sort of.
Bro,
Yeah.
So,
you were telling us in the back room, like, you and Peach are friends, and all of us are like, oh, what? You and
oh
Peach?
no, I don't know Peach that well. I just come up and say, hey, I love your work, blah 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 blah. Like,
Oh, okay.
I don't like message people on a daily basis. I think.
But she's like, I just met Jonboy. Peach is like, I just met Jonboy.
Like,
There you go.
There you go.
No. Like, I don't know if there's a lot of people I talk to. Like working in comics, you kind of work in a bubble. That's the thing I do miss about cons is actually going back and talking to my friends like Dustin or Tony Washington or Mark Irwin or Dave Johnson or Dan Panosian or guys like that. Like I only get to see once in a blue moon.
Mhm.
I mean, it's everyone's a phone call away, but it seems like no one likes to talk on the phone. So
Everybody's texting.
Yeah.
Hey.
I don't like that. I'm not a texter. I'm not really big on it, man.
Yeah, that's not our generation. We were more to pick up the phone and talk,
It's like,
shoot the shit and everything.
Right? Yeah. I like to talk on the phone, but like for me, it's really hard to talk on the phone and draw.
Sure.
Because it's just like my brain has to be on art. I need my full brain on this, especially when you're like under deadline or you're trying to get shit done, and you're like, well, I can't talk right now. It's like, I gotta call this guy later. I was like, dude, I text him, like, hey, I'll call you later. But
Speaking of Conzo, you must have a blast like at New York Comic Con, because I know that place is just huge artist alley.
I have more fun at San Diego, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
One for SDCC.
Yeah, I love San Diego. Like New York is very charming, and I like going. It's just, I just feel like New York is so spread out to me. It's so hard to get to and from my hotel to the con because I'm lugging all this crap, and it's just like just miserable the whole time, man. So I prefer. I'm more of a West Coast guy anyway. I'm West Coast. So, not to hate on New York. New York is great. My preference of shows, it's always like San Diego because it's always seemed like to have a good time. Like I'll always end up like at a industry mixer talking to people and just catching up and bullshitting with folks. And it's probably once, like when the only time to actually get to talk face to face with some of my friends and actually get caught up. We pick up right where we leave our conversations from.
Oh, that's awesome.
This year, so it's just kind of nice to see everybody and talk. It's like,
So do you have a con story for us?
I do have a con story. Like, are we talking about beginning cons, like before I broke in? So
Sure, yeah.
So, like, there's only a couple of guys that I met in lines at shows. So this is back when I think Scott Liddell was at his apex as far as writing, like Wildcats and X-Men and all this stuff. And Scott was a really, really nice guy because he would kind of creep around some of the artist alley lines, and he would look at people's samples while in line. And after we get our thrashing by showing samples, he pulled me aside and said, hey, come back here at this time. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. I was like, oh, Scott Liddell likes my samples. I was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to get excellent work. That didn't happen, by the way. So let me keep going. So we come back all at a certain time, and it's me and these two other dudes. I was like, oh, hey, I recognize you because we were all standing in line, right? And I was like, oh, the other guy's like, hey, I'm Dustin. He's like, hey, I'm Dustin. And it was Dustin Gwynn. And the other guy, he's like, hey, what's up? And I was like, his name is Sonny Lee. So anybody who doesn't know, Sonny works, he did a lot of stuff at Dark Horse, some stuff at DC.
Yeah.
Now he works in graphic design, and Dustin has worked on everything. Ascender, Descender, Batman, Wildcats, you name it, he's done it. So we all met and we all introduced each other. And then Scott shows up. I was like, hey, you guys talk to each other? We're like, yeah. We're like, okay, come with me, follow me. We're just like, well, what's going on? I don't know.
It was initiation.
Right. So we're following Scott Liddell, and he takes us first to this place called Marvel. And he just cuts the line and goes, come on, guys. So we all go back there and, hey, these are guys, like, leave your samples here. This is Jonboy, this is Dustin, this is Sonny. And we're like, he's just kind of shooting the shit with people. And then we're like, were we allowed back here? Are we like, oh, what's going on? we got personally leaf samples, and he goes, "Hey, you should look at these guys' work. These guys are really good." And they took us over to DC, and then same thing happened. And we're just like, "Man, what is going on? This is cool, right?" Because we're in places that we're not usually allowed to be in. And then he took us over to Image, and we met Rob Liefeld. I met Mark Silvestri. It was pretty neat. Like that, and then after all that was said and done, like he took us to Dark Horse everywhere. And he said, "Oh yeah, guys, like keep contact me, hear my stuff. Just let me know how it goes. Hopefully you guys get some work. If not, let me know." So we're like, "Wow, did this just happen?" So we all exchanged info. And then after the next day, we meet up, and I'm talking to Dustin and Sunny. And Sunny's like, "Hey guys, guess what?" And we're like, "What?" Like, Dark Horse called me. I got a job. We're like, "Oh man, high five, all right." And Dustin's like, "Dude, guess what?" I'm like, "What?" And he goes, "I got a job in DC." I was like, "Oh man, all right." They're like, "Well, tell me, what'd you get?" I'm like, I didn't get anything, man. I was like, "Hey man, I'm happy for you guys. That's totally cool." And I'm in my mind, damn it, man, that sucks. but the thing about it was, the takeaway was that looking at Sunny and Dustin samples, they were really polished and really good. It showed me that I still had a long way to go, and I loved feeling that at least another pro, like someone like Scott, would recognize that I have a lot of raw talent that I need to just develop it. So. So it was a really nice thing. It was kind of funny, like Dustin and Sunny got jobs and I didn't get anything. I think I got yelled at by someone at Todd McFarlane's people, but which was kind of funny. But because years later I worked for Todd.
I was about to say, right, for Spawn.
I didn't want to rat anybody out, so I didn't say anything. But it's kind of funny how things come back around, and. It's kind of fun. I mean, I met two really great dudes out of it. Well, a couple great dudes out of it, Scotty and Dustin and Sunny. Still talk to those guys every once in a while still. So, yeah, it's pretty funny. It's like, everyone felt so bad because it just kind of got like awkward. They're like, "Oh, you didn't get anything?" You're like, "Oh, all right."
I'll be talking to you later. Yeah.
Like, all right, well, we gotta go. So, that's cool, man. It's all good. I mean, hey, my story so far has been okay. So, it worked out. It all worked out.
I mean, well, you got to work with such an iconic character like Spawn. I mean, I know when I was 14, I was coming in to collecting comic books, and Image was probably my second. I had Marvel, some Jim Lee stuff, some Chris Claremont, but seeing Spawn in a different direction, Image coming out with several different titles. I mean, so to be able to work with that iconic character, it's like a part of the lineage. And I mean, we're heading down to what looks to be past 300, issues. I mean, how does that really feel to be a part of that lineage and part of that history with such a dynamic character like Spawn?
I think it feels really good because the stuff that Paul Jenkins and myself worked on with Todd moving forward actually set the stage for what's happening in Spawn now, and bringing Al back was definitely the right call. It's kind of nice when you get a chance to work on these iconic characters. You really want to try to do a run or do a take on a character that's memorable, because you just don't want to be where it's just kind of like one and done, or kind of like, oh, well, he was here for half a second. Or some people say that I was there for half a second. I was like, dude, I did like 9 issues. So that's kind of that's a lot in comic book dome these days. So, but I think the thing that I did with Spawn and giving him the mouth back and doing all this cool stuff with it is something that is stuck around, which is really nice. So that is my contribution to that. So I'm glad that that's kind of staying. But I'm glad to see that research into that character. Because I personally have a big love for Spawn because he's an African-American character, and a lot of people are very quick to forget that. And somebody in New York, when we first launched, and they were talking about black characters in comics, and they were asking me, well, there's not a lot of black characters in comics. I'm like, well, Spawn is a black character that we're working on. I'm like, no, Spawn's not a black character. Yeah, he's an African-American man. People are like, he is? I'm like, yeah. But he wears a mask all the time and he's all burnt up. You don't know. So for us, for me, it was so important, because cultural identity is a really big deal for me. And I'm like, hey, if we were going to do this and bring Al back, he's got to be can't be burnt up like a weenie no more. He's got to be this good-looking African-American dude walking around, not hiding his face in an alley anymore. He's not scared of anybody. His face is in the light. He's like, here I am, come get me, like whatever. And that stuck. So that's after 300 issues. That's a real big progression for that character. And also we killed Wanda too. So we're kind of making those stories more about Al and his journey instead of Al protecting his wife. It's you want to see progression in those characters, and doing that, it kind of frees them up for all these other narratives because there's not something that's tying them down anymore. It's more about his story and his progression as a character now. Like it's kind of like, dude, it's over, move on, and he's finally move on. So, well, you know what I mean, where you've been there and you're pining over a girl and your friend's like, dude, just. And then after a while, you've moved on. You're like, oh my god, I feel so much better now. Like I'm free. You know what I mean? So that's the things that we wanted to do for that character. But the idea for us though was that we wanted to bring Wanda back later on as an Angela type character because he had lost Angela to Neil Gaiman, and we were like, well, hey, look, dude, like she goes to heaven, but the idea is to bring her back as like an Angela type character to help him out. She comes back. And we were trying to do another thing where Al had an unborn son, but that son is also in heaven and comes back and becomes son of Spawn. Like, nice. We could do that. Todd didn't want to do that with either. So, whatever. It's his thing. He can do whatever he wants.
Yeah. How was it working? How was it working with Todd?
It was good. I think Todd now is a lot better than Todd then, because I think when we were working with him then, he weighs in on everything. So it's just one guy. So our time with him was always finite. He has more time now that the ball's rolling again for that. It's just really hard to get his time. So every time we were talking to him, we get into it, going down a good trail, then he had to go. And we're just like, dude, like it's just getting good, So I think talking with a couple other guys now, like Jason Alexander, it looks like, Todd is full brain is on nothing but Spawn, which is great. And of course the toy stuff too, but
Sure.
I think doing the toy stuff with DC characters is kind of a no-brainer. You know what I mean? Like, let Todd and his designers make cool toys for DC. It's kind of like, hey, things look great. Just keep more of that, please. So I'm really, really happy for Todd. He's doing great, man. He's it's like, yeah, good. Back on top again. Feels good. So.
Oh man, the Todd father, man.
Yeah, about time. It's like good for him. Yeah.
So I'm just curious, is there any work that you've done that you just really love what you did, like any type of piece you've done where you're just like, you look back and go, damn, that was really good?
I think our early issues of Spawn were really, really good because those are a lot more personal stories. All those stories were individual stories, and they were designed to be self-contained stories that actually filled itself to a larger narrative because we were trying to build it out. So I'm really proud about the stories that we did on those. And then I think my design work that I did on Teen Titans and revamping that was something I was really proud of.
Right.
One day I hope I can go back and actually do a proper run on Teen Titans, and do those characters right and do them justice. So I think, and then I'm always proud of the design work I do. There's a lot of work that goes into me doing character designs, and I think even my designs on the Inhumans Royals, I really try to do something that felt alien, regal, and different.
Right.
And those designs, I felt like we're like, hey, look, like if you guys did a movie of this, you can take these designs and do something along those lines and make it feel unique. But I think they're back wearing costumes and superhero suits again, which is kind of disappointing. It's like,
yeah, I think they are.
Yeah, it's kind of like, okay.
Well, I think they've kind of given up on Inhumans for a little while. Now that they've got the X-Men back in the Marvel MCU universe.
Well, I think they're going to tie the Inhumans to the Eternals a little bit. So
possibly.
I wouldn't count it out just yet. So there's a lot of meat on that bone still. I think the TV show did not do anybody any favors as badly.
Yeah, forget the TV show, please.
Nah.
Oh gosh, it was so. Yeah,
my wife liked it.
I think if you go in with no framing behind who they are and the grandeur of what they are, I think it's a little easier. But I think when you think of Inhumans, there's got to be a sense of opulence and grandeur because they're a royal family. You know what I mean? And all the sets and the costumes and everything, it really lacked that sense of scale and regalness. You know, because when you go to Asgard and Thor and you see everything and everything is opulent and splendor, that's the Inhumans. Humans is twice as grand as that. There's a sense of grandeur and wonder. And I think that design sense was really lacking on the show. When you don't have those narratives, visual narratives to put you in those types of, to put you in that mindset, sometimes it's kind of lost on you. It's like, well, are they or are they like royalty? Because royalty looks like you're kind of like at a summer house at your brother's condo kind of deal. You know what I mean? So, you know, you're kind of, and I don't want to do any disservice. No, I'm doing disservice to people working on the show. I think you work with what you've got on those budgets, but I think, you know, the smarter thing would have been to do Inhumans on a scale where it's one or two characters on the run trying to save their race who've been enslaved on the moon or done something else and grow it that way instead of trying to introduce these characters all at once. And you're just kind of like, you know, you got to spoon feed people a little bit, you know.
You can also tell that they knew that it was an overwhelming task and tried to split them up. And when you take Medusa and shave her head and you separate her from Black Bolt and then try to do everyone separately, it was just really hard because you miss the dynamics and you miss the how they are together, because her hair is half her, to me, is half her speaking parts. You know what I mean? It's like
that. Yeah. The thing about it is, when I say heavy lifting, you're right. There has to be more narrative front end loading about who she is as a character and why her hair is so much a part of her. Because if you take it away too soon in the show, it's like people don't feel the impact. Like, well, it's just hair. Get over it. It grow back. It grow back. But it's just like, to her, it's something more. But if you don't spend that time on that narrative, really building that out, that's what makes her her, or she feels that makes her her. Then that's you know what I'm saying? Because then
it's like Doctor Strange and his cape.
Yeah, man. It's like, well, there's a reason why that cape's so important to him, but you build that narrative with him and you understand that. If you just got the cape and then the cape saves him, you're just like, well, who gives a shit about that? It's like,
it's all about the cape, right? I mean, he has to go out on a Saturday night just picking up on
But that's why artists are so important for books and stuff. You need an artist that can relay those messages, the non-verbal cues.
Yeah, I think we always get the short end of the stick on that. But I think building out the visual narratives along with the written narratives are so important, especially in TV, because if you don't give that time for people to understand who these characters are or why these things are important to them, then when they experience a sense of loss, you really don't really understand it, and there's no impact there, because it's just like, well, you didn't have time to understand that dynamic, you know. This is why it's so important to build your narratives out when you're trying to hook an audience. I mean, you know, however you decide to hook them in, because like I think take for example Berserker, your action right away. This whole story is like this guy just tearing through stuff, and you're like, what the hell is going on? And then you're spoon-fed little tidbits that this guy's been around for a very long time. He's working for the government because he wants to know something about himself, mainly probably how to die. You know,
that's what I was thinking too. Yeah,
that's better read it.
That's what sucks you in, and it's just like, okay, cool. And it's easier to do with one character. So, like something with the Inhumans, I think they should have done that where it's Medusa on the run, and then you can invest in that character and who she is and why her hair is so important and why she's a badass. And then you expand out to this whole other world of who the Inhumans are. Like, you know, she has to get help from somebody or somebody else. You know what I mean? It's like, I think it
makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it keeps the world a little smaller in the sense where you can get to know these people on a much smaller scale. Because it's like, I think that's what was counter, as great as the Snyder Cut is, you know, they didn't have a lot of front end loading with characters like the Flash and Aquaman and Wonder Woman or Cyborg. So you had to do that front end of loading during the movie. But if those characters, like the Marvel method, where they got just a Cap movie, so you knew who Cap was and you're invested in that character. So then he interacts with these other characters, you're all on board. You know who every character is, what they're about. It takes more time to do that. Once you jam them all together, you don't know who any of these jerk-offs are. And you're like, okay, well.
Yeah.
Why aren't you writing all of this stuff and submitting it to Kevin Feige or?
Oh no, like Feige, like the Marvel movies work so well because it's a small network of like 4 or 5 guys who are responsible for those movies. But it's those 4 or 5 guys get it. They develop those movies, whereas Warner, it's more of executives making those decisions. This is why you got the Whedon cut and we didn't get the Snyder cut. The Snyder cut was supposed to be 2 movies, right? So the thing about it was when they see something, most executives think in terms of dollars of what people want. So when they see a movie like Deadpool or Guardians of the Galaxy make a shit ton of money, they're like, well, our movies need to be like that. They need to be funny and action-oriented and witty. So that's what we want. So when they hire a director and the director gives them something else, they're like, well, we don't think we can make money on this because our polls show that audiences want this and you're giving us that. Mm-hmm. And that's the disconnect. The thing about it is Marvel movies should be Marvel movies and DC movies can be DC movies because they're a different tone. They can both be light in certain senses, but Marvel movies are more about grandeur versus DC movies are more about reality. They're a little bit more reality based. They feel a little more like our world. You know what I mean? So that's the difference. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just you let these movies be what they are. I think the great thing about the multiverse is it's now allowing people to tell stories with the same characters in different universes, and people are okay with that now because they understand that concept. Thank goodness. So.
Yeah, but the Marvel payoff is that we're watching Winter Soldier and and Sam Wilson, whatever it's called, whatever. But you feel like you feel the ghost of Cap the whole way through, and like they just can mention him and you already know, right? Because they built that character so well, like it's a masterpiece, man.
But you've invested in Captain America for 10 years now. And you don't even know it. And you're just like...
You don't even know it, bro.
That's our buddy. He's our cool uncle, right?
You can feel that ghost, bro. The ghost is always in that...
He's our nerdy uncle.
In that show. It's always there.
But that's the thing is that's how fandom works. That's how a narrative investment works. And like guys like Feige understand that. And that's what you guys... Like that's what people need to understand. It's just like, this is how you build things out in franchises. You create that fan involvement. You stay true to the fans. You make movies that the fans will appreciate first because that's your core audience. And then if you make a movie that is appealing past your core audience, then you've really done your job because you're reaching out to a new audience. And then you grow that with that character along the way. And you take that character and you put him through ups and downs. You maybe even kill him or you do the stuff and you're creating that engagement. And then now we have something like Falcon and Winter Soldier come around. People want to invest in that because we're like, hey, we're Cap fans. I want to see how the legacy of Cap evolves through Sam Wilson or through Bucky Barnes,
100%.
Through John Walker. The thing is, I feel bad for Wyatt Russell because people are just him because
they already do.
Cap, he just took it. It really wasn't given to him. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it's like, well, when you understand that kind of hate is because it's the fandom. They're like, no, we want to do with these guys.
But he's also playing a dick of a character, too. I mean, he's supposed to.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, U.S. Agent is supposed to be a dick, but...
Well, he's a bigger dick in comics, so...
I know. They toned him down.
They toned him down for TV, which is good. So
he's like that high school football jock and everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, hey, what's going on over here?
But I mean, they're doing something right when they do WandaVision and... those first 3 episodes that were basically like 50s and 60s television shows, and we're all going, give me more. I mean, it's like it's against our nature to watch those.
Well,
we all loved them.
It wouldn't have worked without 5 years of Vision and Scarlet Witch already kind of primed in our brain. You know what I mean? Because we understand those characters, and we're kind of understanding, okay, we trust you. We're on board for this, but like...
That's exactly what Ian said.
You're going with this. He's like, I want to know. Like, hey.
Well, I wasn't even into Wanda, man. And then after that, she's like, I'm a fan, bro. Like, I'm just like, yo,
yeah.
you know, it just really put her a complete person there. You know, it's a masterful.
When she came down the stairs in the Wanda outfit, I was just like, damn.
Oh yeah.
I'm just sad that Pietro wasn't brought back. Like I like his take on Pietro, and I'd love to see him come back, because if we're gonna get the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, you know what? He might come back, because if mutants are coming, he might be with Magneto.
Yeah,
I don't know. So
I think they're gonna work on Fantastic Four first. I think it's too soon for mutants.
I think we're going to see both. I think we're going to see Professor X pop up. I think we're going to see Omega Red pop up, and I think we're going to see.
So where do you think Omega Red's going to pop up? Jonboy?
Captain Winter Soldier, baby. I think.
I'm with you, Jonboy.
These two guys have been saying that Omega Red's going to be showing up.
I think so. I heard rumors at Comic-Con like 2 years ago, and I talked to people who know people who have worked on said project, and said that would be cool if mutants showed up in a certain project, because they've already kind of talked about the Weapon Plus program already.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yep, sure.
So that involves like Agent Venom stuff, you know, the Venom soldiers. It involves in the Ultimate Universe, it involves mutants. So I wouldn't be surprised if you have a Wolverine type character show up or a Omega Red show up, and you know, it would be pretty cool, I think. So, because I mean, that'd be fan service. People would lose their minds.
Yes.
The internet, and people are like, oh.
Have you seen this week's episode yet?
No, you know, I don't have Disney Plus, man. So I just read them. I just read the reviews and trailers, so I'm up to speed. So I'm gonna spoil something, because I was fanboyed. Zemo finally, you see him with the fur collar, and he finally puts on the mask in this week's episode, and I was just like, I didn't think they'd ever do that, and I just kind of fanboyed out when they did that finally. Literally, you're like.
This third episode, man, I was up like at 5 o'clock in the morning, and towards the end, I was like, oh my god.
I still need to see Godzilla and King Kong, man. So
I need to watch that too.
It's fun. It's entertaining.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to watch it.
So kind of since we're on the topic of like comic book shows, have you seen Invincible yet?
That's good.
Yeah, I love Invincible. It's great. I just watched episode 4 tonight.
So sick, huh?
Yeah.
It's freaking good, man.
I love it. I gotta watch it.
I gotta say, the comic book is better, but because they're kind of jumping ahead a little bit. Like going to Mars doesn't happen until like I think issue 10 or something like that. But I'm okay with it. I think it was issue 10.
So I've never ever picked up an Invincible book at all, other than the free comic book day book.
Oh, it's great. Yeah.
After watching the show, I'm like, oh my god. And now I see how much they are, and I'm like, oh my god.
Just pick up the trades. Do the trades. Like you can
get the omnibus.
Or the new comic book day one. No,
but you get the whole series.
I would do the trades. That way it's just like, hey, you know, there's $15. Like you don't like it, like whatever, it's $15. But you can take it with you everywhere and read it. I would recommend doing the trade of the first 2 trades. Really good stuff, like spoilers, like the big reveal. What can I read? I mean,
go for it. Come on, I'm still interested.
Omni-Man is secretly a sleeper agent for an invading army of Viltrumites. So
I figured as much.
And it rocks everyone's worlds. Like whoa!
They kind of gave it away in the first episode, right? Like there's something going on.
Well, that happens at issue. I think issue 1. That happens at the end of issue 1 or issue 2, where he kills all of them. So
that was crazy, bro. I was like, damn. My kid was all watching, and he's like, Halloween. Like, what?
I mean, they just banished Damien Darkblood, so sent him back to hell. I was like, that's good stuff. So, poor guy.
I just can't wait to see what happens next, because I'm like, again, no history of the comic books or anything like that, and I'm like, what heroes are left? I mean, all of the powerhouses are gone. Well, and you have like the Teen Titans
that we
are now
know
the
of.
Justice League.
Well,
you know,
like Robot's up to something, right? So Just wait and see. Just watch. There are a lot of good powerhouses, Mark being one of them. So as his powers grow, he's going to be able to take on his dad. Just be prepared for a lot of blood and gore.
Yeah, I got ruined
was,
on the. I heard about the thing that happens to Invincible later on.
Oh, where he gets raped? Yeah.
That's
What?
pretty bad.
Oh,
I saw that in the app when I was looking through books today. I was like, oh, what is this
What
book?
happened?
No,
He got,
You already said it. Just what happened?
he
Yeah,
got raped.
He got what?
Raped
He
Oh
gets
my
raped.
god!
He gets
by
raped
a woman.
by a female Viltrumite who's looking to get his seed to have stronger children. So it's like, but I mean,
wow.
so I don't know if they're going to address that in the
Jesus.
show or not. So
It should. It's Amazon, man. You know,
Well, the thing about that is what's good about streaming is, you don't have people regulating what you can put on your content other than yourself. So things like The Boys and Game of Thrones and things like that can exist now because you can actually tell these stories. Because back then, something like The Boys, people were like,
yeah.
why would you do that?
Like, I remember when the boys
Especially the
first
first
came out.
episode.
Yeah, first episode, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, you're like,
Well, I mean,
whoa.
you never read The Boys, Steve, where I think it was the third issue, because it was originally put out by DC. In the third issue, they go and investigate like the Teen Titans, and one of the guys is dead. And they see something moving in his pants. They open up his pants, and a gerbil comes out. And DC's like, "We're done." And so went to Dynamite.
Just peace. Yeah.
On that note, though, I'm just curious: is there any books that you read? Like, is there anything you enjoy to read out there?
Yeah, I'm reading the new Detective Comics. I can't remember the writer who's writing it, but Dan Moore is drawing it. And then James Tynion and Ray Jimenez and his Batman is always really good. And then there's a book I just picked up right now. It's called Brigada, which is pretty amazing.
That looks
Wow.
cool.
That's awesome.
Great book. Yeah, Enrique Fernandez, Spanish artist, does this. But I bought this through his Kickstarter. Well, it's the European version of Kickstarter.
Uh-huh.
But I think Magnetic Press has this available, so if you want it, you can buy it.
Nice.
Oh,
Yeah, we were talking about your cover for I think it's 108 for
Oh,
Batman
Batman.
coming up.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
a beautiful
Oh,
cover.
man.
I
Miracle
mean, Alonzo
Molly.
showed it to us, and I was just like, "Damn."
I
Yeah,
love
man.
it. The original, the one like when I'm working on covers, the
Uh-huh.
original I wanted has a lot more action in it, where Molly's on her drone, surfboarding, and they have Catwoman and Batwoman and
Wow.
Ryan and Harley all in there jumping. It looked pretty dope, but they're like, "No, we want the standing one." I'm like, all right.
Do you have a sample of that? Does that image still exist?
I have a rough somewhere that I sent to DC, so I'll dig it up. Maybe I'll dig it up, post it online. So
That'd be
Oh my
dope,
God,
man.
that would be
Okay.
awesome.
this is what happens in covers. Like everyone's always asking you, like, why is it always this cover, John Boy? I was like, because that's the one that everyone picks. It's like I don't get to pick them.
You know what,
They pick
John Boy? Have you heard of Rose Besh? So
them.
she's a new artist. She's getting a lot of hype. But she on her Instagram she posts a lot of like her early drafts of the covers that she's supposedly like submitting, and there's little thumbnails.
Mhm.
So you can see like her process of like, oh, she drew like 4 covers, but only one of them was selected.
Yeah, that's why it takes so long because everyone's like, do something iconic, and I'm like, okay, well, I'll do something iconic, but then I'm like, well, this is one that is really iconic. It's got action, and no one's going to be doing action. But then a lot of people like the standing poses for some reason, which I get. I mean, people like that way you can see more of the character, but I'm always more of like, again, it goes back to that manga anime influence.
Yeah.
Where I want
But-
characters in motion to be moving and feel.
Yeah.
But how does that feel, man? Like I think your style is opening up for a lot of different artists that are like manga urban style. Like you were like one of the first, man. Like your stuff is like, and it's Rose Besh is like it's like that influence that you've kind of had in the industry that's kind of moving there and opening up for these artists.
Oh, well, thanks. I think it's just like we've been there this whole time. It's been a real hard slog for guys who have a much more of an anime or cartoonier style. back in like after the crash, like late 90s, early 2000, it was really hard for us guys to try to get work because we were considered too cartoony, and it wasn't really a commercially relevant style. A lot of publishers thought that, and they would tell me that, like, if you draw more realistic, then you can get more work. So draw more realistic. So this is why my stuff has so much, right? Like,
you can't draw him realistic. You got to draw him like a manga. Like, this is amazing.
I know, right?
Yeah. And so much life. There's so much life to your art, man. Like, it's just like a lot of life going on there. Like you could feel that, like that little Mega Man throwing that little blast.
Yeah, I really want to put a lot of love into what I'm doing. So when you're picking it up, you're like, I feel the energy in this. It feels good. Like, there's a lot of love that goes into stuff that I do. Because if I don't love something, I won't do it. I'm like.
So I got to ask you, as far as your influence with animation manga, what is one manga that you have fallen in love with that has got you by the heart?
Ninja Scroll.
Oh yeah, man.
That was my first.
I love you.
That is my first, and that is still my number one, man. That is like, that movie blew my mind away on so many levels. As a kid, I've never seen animated like gore, violence, or nudity.
Yep.
And it wasn't, I don't feel like it was glorified. It was just part of the narrative. It just was just like, it's like sneaking into your first R-rated movie and something you're not supposed to see, and you're like, it's just like, oh my God. You're like,
Did you watch Record of the Lotus War then too? Right around that time?
Yes, I saw Record of Lotus War. I liked Bubblegum Crisis, and I liked what was the other one?
Bubblegum Crisis.
I liked a lot of the Kenshi Sedona stuff. Just like a lot of this stuff was getting development deals at the time. So Riding Bean and Gunsmith Cats were favorites of mine as well. So Dirty Pair as well. Like I loved all of that. Like you always listen to recommendations for your friends, but then when you watch them, because like one of my friends is like, oh, if you like Ninja Scroll, you should get La Blue Girl. You'll love it. It's amazing. I was like, all right. So I spent money on a DVD of La Blue Girl, and I'm watching it. I'm like, okay, wow, this is cool. The animation's cool. And all of a sudden, all this kind of like weird tentacle points.
Tentacles, yep.
And I'm just like,
yep.
Yeah, this is.
I'm out.
You should have recommended like Vampire Hunter D.
Well, I discovered that after that. I stopped listening to that dude. And I started listening to the other guy at the comic book shop. He said, "Look, man, don't listen to him. He's kind of a perv." Because I couldn't take it back, so I threw it in the garbage. I'm like, I don't want this. I just threw it away. But about Vampire Hunter D, I loved it. I think that is a close second for me, Vampire Hunter D.
Akira?
Yeah, I'm not a big. I like Akira, but I'm not that big of a Akira fan. I think Vampire Hunter D and Ninja Scroll are, in my personal opinion, stronger movies.
Yeah.
But I think what Akira did was kind of cement cyberpunk culture within. It took what Blade Runner did and actually kind of cemented it in people's minds, because it kind of laid the groundwork. Because that thing was so influential, it created, like, it made Appleseed a lot more relevant and things like that. So, I mean, it's kind of interesting how things pop up, and then because like even if you've never watched this stuff and you're watching it now, that stuff is still relevant. It still holds up. Don't watch Little Blue Girl, please. But it will inspire you. Not Little Blue Girl, but everything else. You can watch. And you'll be like, wow, you know what? With fresh eyes. It just kind of, like, watching that stuff really gets me really excited about, like, doing comics and telling stories. So.
Would I be the lame guy to say, like, I was introduced to anime through Aeon Flux? Like on MTV.
There's nothing wrong with that. Peter Chung is awesome.
Yeah, that shit was tight, bro. I used to watch that all the time, man.
Yeah,
when I was like a teen. Yeah,
movie was incredibly flawed, but the anime
was
really amazing.
Oh man,
fire,
it was beyond awesome.
Oh yeah, I loved it. It was great.
Yeah, my mom didn't like me watching that either, man. She's like, "Why are you watching the skinny girl in the tights?
It's too sexy. What's wrong with you?"
She's always gallivanting everywhere, killing people. Like I was like, "Oh, dude,
just don't watch Violent Jack."
Yeah, don't take this away from me, Mom.
Come on, Mom. Like I'm a I'm a 14-year-old boy. I like it. You know, like
Yeah, it's like well, kids at that age, I think we want shows that play up to us, don't play down to us. I think you're at that age where you're kind of like testing boundaries and figuring things out for yourself, and watching stuff like that and enjoying stuff like that in itself is an act of rebellion per se. So it's
like Robotech when it was just like
I rebelled. Huh? Yeah, Robotech. Yeah, I love Robotech. I grew up with Robotech as well. So yeah.
Oh hell yeah! Since we're talking about this futuristic stuff, man, like as an artist, man, and you know, we're I think everybody's kind of deep diving into NFTs. Like, what do you think about that, man? Is it taking your art somewhere else?
I think it's a great thing. I mean, the conversation they're making it more about the environment and stuff like that, but that has nothing to do with artists. So that's more about the technology. So they need to figure that out, which I'm sure they will. But I think in terms of art, it's allowing artists to actually make money for the long term for themselves in the long run. Because even if it gets resold, you're always going to get a cut of that. So
royalties, yep.
Which is a good thing. I think right now, with comics, they're pumping the brakes on it for obvious reasons because they need to figure it out. But I'm hoping the parent companies, the comic book companies, can sit down and have a dialogue. It's more of a conversation and not a debate about it. I feel like, and my personal feeling is, the original art that we create, any art that is created for publishing or print, should be considered original art, whether it's digital or physical product. Because right now, if we create art as a physical product, we are allowed to sell that on the market. The problem with that selling it on the market is we don't get a cut of that afterwards. Nope. So people who bought art from artists who wanted to sell because we needed to put food on the table and pay bills can take that art, hold on to it for a couple of years, and flip that art for like probably $20,000-$30,000.
Can you explain that to the audience, because I don't think they understand, like NFTs, like for artists, the royalties continue on.
That's the good thing about the NFT. An artist who does that can still make that, but the problem right now is the debate is that some publishers feel like digital art is not original art and they retain all the rights. So it's so new, they're trying to figure it out. Like, and nobody's a bad guy here yet. Like, there should be conversations about this. The thing is, publishing companies are owned by big mega, corporate companies. So they decide what is going to happen or not. So, but personally, I think the precedent's already been set, because as artists, we need to set that precedence by saying any art that is created for print or publishing, whether it be digital or original, is considered original art. And we're allowed to sell our original art as a one-off and retain the rights. This is not adding an animation to it, making it move or music, just the image itself. We are allowed to sell a digital image of that as a one-off, because that is considered original art as well. Like, it should be the same purview. I feel like that is where it will probably go. But we kind of want to wait and see how the dust settles, because you don't want to be the guy to do it and then cause an uproar, because you don't want to piss off the publishers. You don't want to piss off their parent companies. There should be a discussion about it if that right is taken away from digital artists, then you're saying people who create physical art have more rights than guys who create digital art, which is discriminatory because it's still used to produce a final end product. So the litigation itself on that, individually would bankrupt an artist, but collectively it would not. You know what I mean? So
you're in the thick of it, right? You're in the thick of it in Silicon Valley, man. I bet it's like a very big discussion there, right?
It's more for us artists because we want to make money.
I know, right?
Because the thing about comics is, comics are there's much more demand on the art, so it takes longer for the art to be produced because people are more sophisticated these days. So, and people are publishing less, so there's less work to go around. But if we're able to create a piece of art and for print, and then turn around and resell that, and then the original piece, and then the original physical tangible art, and then sell that as a digital art piece as well, helps us to kind of like keep the lights on and put food on the table. Don't do a disservice to the people who help you build your IPs and make you guys billions of dollars. Don't do that.
And how would that work with like a commission too? Because I know like Alon's got Frank Cho piece up there. If he sold Frank Cho sold to him, it's his.
Well, the thing about it is with NFTs you have to prove authorship.
Yep. Right.
So
it's written in the smart contract.
Everyone knows that Zoe is trying to pass off Frank Cho as his own, right? We all know that. Right. Come on.
Well, no, I meant like, let's say I commission you to do a Star Wars piece for me.
Right.
You then go, okay, here's your Star piece. Now I'm going to make an NFT of that.
Yes.
Could the publishers theoretically stop you from doing that?
Well, so again,
it's getting wiggy.
No, it's complicated, right? So everyone's trying to weigh on this, but the thing is that's still fan art because you can do this at shows and people make prints of it and sell it at shows, and it's part of that fan engagement because you can't put a price tag on what fan engagement creates because the person who buys that bootleg Star Wars print will turn around and buy $200 worth of Star Wars toys and $300 worth of Star Wars sheets and go out and watch the movies and then buy the DVDs and buy the Blu-rays. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Oh, no, I understand.
If you take that away, you can piss off a lot of people. And it's just is it worth that? Because they make billions of dollars already at licensing. It's just like, okay, well, at some point they're going to have to address it because it is a very slippery slope, but there has to be some sort of standard built around that. I think it's safe to say that you shouldn't make an NFT. If something exists in print from a publisher and you can sell the original art, then you should be allowed to make an NFT because that's pretty clear. Right? Like you're a working professional. This is something done that's already done in another medium. You can take that and pipe it down into the digital medium, right? I think when you're creating fan art, it's a little more sticky because if you're creating fan art of like, say, naked Luke Skywalker doing unheard of things to droids as an NFT on a larger scale, that is kind of hurting the brand. It can be looked at as hurting the brand.
Man, there goes my commission.
Yeah, right. So there are specific rules that need to be kind of figured out. This is why this should be a topic of discussion.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we're reaching out and talking to talent. I think they're working the legals out first to say, can we just hold this and make money off of this? Or are we going to get people going to fight us on this and we're going to have to give this up? Or what's the leeway?
I've been thinking about that too, man. I've been thinking about the talent because I'm a pretty much, me and Nick are the technology guys here. Right. And I've been thinking about that a lot, man. I'm thinking like you guys should actually create a union and write your own stuff. You know what I'm saying?
The bad part about if you don't know artists very well, then because as soon as you do that, there's artists will stab other artists in the back because it's all about getting work.
Oh, yeah.
You're up against guys who are living in different countries. The economy is different. These guys, 100 US would actually go a long way to change. This is life-changing money in some countries. So, so you have to understand there's always going to be another artist who's going to come in and take your place. So if you say, no, I'm not doing that, fine, they're not going to get you, but they're going to get somebody else who could do it similar as you, faster than you, or cheaper than you. So there's always somebody who's going to be there to fill that void or throw it in. I'll do it. Screw that guy. So
the world we live in, huh? Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's it's art and commerce. People got to live. So I mean, there's you can't always afford to have your integrity on your sleeve. Sometimes when you got to feed your kids, like, hey man, integrity's out the door. I'll go scrub toilets if I have to. So things need to be figured out. I think it's more about where's people's moral center at. What's the right thing to do versus the corporate thing to do.
Yeah.
Because for me, right now, you're already setting a precedence because if you can't go after people who are buying Kirby pages for $75,000 or $350,000 for a Jim Lee X-Men page or cover, and you can't get any of that money, then theoretically you shouldn't be able to get any money from an NFT because it's the same concept.
Right.
It's still original art. You know what I mean? You're not selling the whole book.
No.
You're selling that one page you worked on or that one cover.
Yeah.
So,
And we're not even in the first inning of this stuff, right? It just started up the discussion, man.
It's the lawyers are trying to figure out. The main thing for us artists right now, if any artists are watching this, is we very clearly need to define what the term original art is. And you can't let publishers determine that for you, because if you do, you're complacent in letting them do that, because this is how they get you with rule of law. If they say, and you agree to these terms, that published art is just the physical, tangible art, like the original art, and it's not considered digital, and you go along with that, then you're saying that that's okay. And that may mean you might have to pass on work because of it. You know what I mean? Because once you have enough people who agree to that and say, well, they're agreeing to our terms, they agree that digital art is not really original art. You know what I mean? You can't sell it as an NFT, or you can't do this, you can't do that. So I think the better thing is, as artists, we need to say any art that is made for print or publishing, whether it be digital or physical, is original art. That's it. The end of discussion. You know, and that puts us on a better legal footing, because lawyers will persecute things or defend things based on its legal definition. So if we don't define that, other people will. So that's our only battle that we need to do. And if we just stand on that and we're a broken record on that, then I think we'll be fine. It gives us a precedence to stand on. But if we don't, then, you know, it's going to feel like, well, we're just basically, you know, it's not going to be good for artists. Artists won't like it, you know. But we'll go along with it probably because we need the money, and we have to pay bills to pay. It's like, well, it's kind of like a big kid's like, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, there's not much you can do. So.
Well, John Boy, man, we appreciate you coming on, man. Like, you're dope, dude. Like, I just gotta say, I'm a big fan. We're all big fans, bro. Like, we have Big Rob, who's a big fan too, but he couldn't make it, man. But you know, like, we all appreciate you, man. But let me ask you, man. Like, you know, we're gonna do little rapid fire questions, man.
Sure.
Since we were talking about NFTs, are we gonna see an NFT from John Boy coming soon?
Maybe. I'm working on a creative art project, so I'd like to be able to extend NFTs to those people who are working on this project with me, to kind of set an example and a standard. So we'll see. Maybe. It's just there's a lot out there to unpack, and I think the environmental issues need to be addressed first, because I don't want anybody calling me an eco-terrorist. I just don't need that kind of drama. It's like, okay, man. You know, but I think they're actually in the process of solving that within months, I'm sure. So,
all right.
Now, is this creator-owned title by the name of Princess Dragon Killer?
Yes, it is. Yes, I am all in on that right now. So I'm actually going to be scaling back a lot of my work in the next couple of months to just focus on. So it's just been, it's kind of like, here's the thing, like when you work, you try to you're like a camel, you try to soak up as much money as you can so you can work on your own projects and try to get as much done on that as you can and pay people. And then when you're out of money, then you like go back and you try to work on more stuff and you try to do it all over again. It's like,
will we be seeing a Kickstarter, man? Will we be seeing a Kickstarter so we can help support you?
Yeah, I think so. I'll keep you guys in the loop.
Keep us in the loop.
It's either going to be through a comic book company, or it's going to be through Kickstarter, or it might be through both. So,
I mean, we got your back either way, bro. You know, let's go, man.
I'd love to have you back on to support it and everything.
Yeah, come back on, man. Let's come back on. Let's
I will
promote
beat
that thing.
drum. Thank you. Yeah,
so let's do it
for sure.
What was your first real job? Like real job, and you know, like job when you were teenager, any job. Your first job.
Paper route. I was 9. I delivered papers.
Nice.
So I could buy comic books and toys.
You did the 4:30 in the morning throwing. I did it too, man.
Yeah, my mom would help me. My mom would help me. She was so great about it. So,
good mom.
But nowadays, it's unheard of for like a 9-year-old kid walking out there carrying papers on his back. So you can't really
5 in the morning.
Delivering papers when it's still dark out with a flashlight.
Yep.
You know, so.
I have one for you, John Boy. Who's your favorite character to draw?
Oh,
you have to pick one. Who's your favorite?
Batman or Spawn. Like it's time.
Is it the cape and the cowl? Is it the cape and the
They're
mask?
such cool characters. You can do so much for both characters. So versatile. You can make them serious, scary, heroic. They're very versatile characters. And the cape too. I don't feel like drawing something. I just wrap it in that cape. It's like, I don't have to draw. I'm so lazy. It looks cool. Yeah.
So I'm gonna give you an evil question that Alonzo gave to me last night.
All right.
Since you're a '90s kid like the rest of us, Batman the animated series or X-Men?
Oh, Batman animated series. Man.
Yes.
Oh man,
I agree.
Yes. Damn.
Virtual high five.
the guitar riff, man. Come on, man.
I did love the X-Men cartoon. I thought X-Men Evolution was a little better, but I think for its time it was pretty earth-shaking. I think the stories in Batman the Animated Series were a little bit better, because when you go back and watch those cartoons, for me the Batman Animated Series stuff still holds up.
Yeah.
The animation looks a little dated because Batman or Bruce Wayne wearing the lumpy suit, it just like drives me crazy compared to like the sleeker version in later episodes where he's like, they figured out, they streamlined everything. Like, thank God, right? But it's kind of a hard toss up because both of those cartoons were very integral in introducing audiences to comics. So, but if I had to choose, Batman the Animated Series, yeah, for sure.
I'm with you on that, John Boy. I'm with you.
All right, we got one last question, man. If I was to come over to where you're at in the Bay, in the South Bay, and I was like, and you were like gonna say like, hey, Ian, meet me over here so we can get some dinner. Where would you take me, man?
Take me too, dude.
And Steve, and Steve. So you got two big guys here, man. We like to eat, man.
You're tiny,
man.
Get on JR's weight plan, bro.
I would say there's this place called the Punjab Cafe that serves the best Indian food.
Oh, dude, I missed that.
Some tikka
People don't
masala?
know about that about the Bay, right? Like it's the best Indian food.
Dude,
I can't find it out here in the SoCal, bro.
Best Indian food, hands down. Like, well, if you're in SoCal, what part of SoCal are you in?
I'm in San Diego, man.
Well. Yeah.
We don't got the Punjab.
We have little India over here in Cerritos.
There you go. Yeah.
Man, I get my tikka masala, little naan bread, little rice.
Doesn't make me hungry.
Just like with the saffron bread.
Oh, damn.
Get some samosas and just like.
Oh yeah.
But they don't have it like. But yo, John, they don't have it here. Where like in the Bay, like you go and get your plate, you go get your forks, and you go get tea. They don't have that here. Like that like ground level like Indian food. Like
if you know some Indian folks, you should be like, hey man, like we need a good Indian restaurant here. What's up?
That's what I'm saying, bro. I can't try it.
Yeah,
I'm trying, man.
You got to top it off with that mango lassi,
mango lassi.
I'm not too big on the toppings because, like, for me, it's always about the curries. Because I dip with the curries, man. Because I'll clean my plate with naan and soak up all the curry. And just
I got me hungry.
Yeah,
man.
So good.
Yeah, I might have to get that tonight.
Killing me.
No, it's so good. It's so good.
No, it sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's mighty tasty. It's spicy though too. So
I think hotter the better.
Well, okay. So
No, not that hot.
No, I'm stupid.
I would never recommend getting the hot.
Yes.
Unless you can handle it, because so there's Asian hot and then there's Indian hot, and I personally find that Indian hot is hotter than Asian hot.
Yes.
It is.
To let you know,
100%.
And I'm half Asian, so I'm like, hey, like,
yo,
I had Indian hot, and I had to stop eating.
Yeah,
I had to stop eating because like I couldn't. Like my mouth was on fire. I wasn't enjoying the meal.
See,
That's
I'm
what the mango lassi's for.
I'm the idiot that'll walk into a place and go, "What's your hottest thing?" And they go, "Here you go."
Bro.
And then I'll eat it. I'm like, "Not white boy hot. Give me real hot." I mean, I want the hot stuff that you give to people that aren't white, because
I grew up in the Bay, man. I grew up in Oakland. I used to go to San Francisco all the time because my brothers and I had family left there. We go to like these Indian restaurants, and I would rate it by like if I walked in there and I wasn't sweating already because the spices, it wasn't. I was like, no, I got to go somewhere else.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, this is not this is not what I need that spicy. I need to get the little water under my eyes right here.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Well,
You
yeah,
know?
you need to start like, ooh,
Yeah. Like, whoo, you know?
I was watching Top Chef last night, and one of the guys, one of the people was making something with peppers and stuff, and it was gassing out the other people. They're going. I mean, it's so spicy just from the cooking of it. I was like, that's about where it needs to be. I mean, the one guy was Indian. He's like, you're fucking with me, and I'm Indian, dude. I'm crying here because of how hot it is.
Oh, it's good, but I would recommend, like, if you're coming to South Bay and you're going to eat Indian food, I would just say get mild, start with mild, and work your way out. Because, like, if you get a mild, like, okay, that was good. Now I'm gonna get medium, then I'm gonna get hot, and then you can try it out for yourself. Because the thing about it is the food is so good, you don't want to be where it's too hot where you can't even appreciate it or enjoy it.
Yep.
Definitely get, like, if they offer things like smoothies or something with dairy in it to take the heat out, pull the oils out after you're doing it. I definitely recommend that. Like Steve said, that will make your experience a lot more enjoyable. But if you're gonna raw dog it like that, man, I'm just like
Yeah.
I can eat a habanero.
No
pepper
bueno.
by
No
itself.
bueno.
So
Be prepared
I'm one
to
of those
prop
types that
yourself
can
up
take
at night.
habanero and just chew
Your
on it.
pee-pee will start burning, bro, when you go pee-pee.
No.
it's fire, man. It's just like
I know.
all right.
I'm on fire.
It's not good. Not good. Is there any other questions? Do we got another question? No.
I think you made it safe. You made it safe through
Yeah.
the rapid fire.
Wow, that was fast. I feel like I didn't earn it, but okay, all right.
Oh, you earned it with that
No.
Indian stuff. You got me hungry, bro. Like, I'm
Oh, yeah.
I know.
about to
I
go
might
fly
have to
back
order
to
me some.
Oakland.
Yeah, you know, you should have somebody send you something like that. I mean, yeah, I mean, like, I would think there'd be something good in San Diego.
Man, you
all
don't walk into
Mexican
places
food.
here. You don't walk into places here, man. Like I tried. I need to get the little wetness under my eyes just by walking in, you know, and you don't get that here. You know,
Wow.
you know that feeling, right? Like if it's in the Bay, you know, like it's that
Oh,
real
yeah,
Indian,
I know what you
Pakistani
mean, yeah.
Punjabs, you know,
When
food
you
and stuff.
walk in and you take a couple bites, you're like, oh, this is good, and then it kind of hits you. You're like, oh,
Yeah, man. You know, you know stuff, bro. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Maybe rethink your inks and everything like that. Maybe I should have ordered something a little more milder. No, just more. Just keep going. Push it
No,
through.
well, you know, you always go with mild. Always go with mild, especially if it's a new experience. That way you can enjoy it, especially if you're on a date too, man. Because, like, if it's too hot, it may run through you, and you might be in the bathroom. Like,
Or she may be in the bathroom, like, oh
Yeah.
man.
just don't
It might
do
be a
that.
long game Polly.
Don't ruin your date like that. You know, you don't want to be like that guy crapped his pants the whole time. You know, I think just, you know, you want to go with something that's a little safe and experience it, because, like, eating food, there's something magical about it. It's just it's so good. It's so
It's a
many
soul
spices. Yeah, it's so good, and you want to be able to experience that and enjoy it. You know.
You know, man, if I have a good Indian meal, like you're bringing me back, bro, to my Bay days. Like you feel like you're permeating like this glow, right? After a good Indian meal,
I
right?
just
Like
feel like I'm satisfied. Like, yeah, I'm like,
Yeah.
it's good. It's so
Yeah.
good. Makes you happy, for sure. Good food will do that, though. Like, good Asian food will do that. I think good food in general, but, like, in San Diego, some of the best Mexican food I've had is in San
is.
Diego.
Oh, hands down,
Oh, yeah.
hands
And,
down.
like, I've been to Texas and had Tex-Mex, and I'm telling you, Tex-Mex is not the same as Mexican
No,
or
it is
Hispanic. It's not the same. It is not the same. I don't think it is. But both are great. Both are great. So,
No, man, when you come down here and Comic Con will hook up, I'll take you to this place, man. I always tell all the guests, Quatris Milpas, bro, over here in San Diego.
I'm down. I'm
It's
down.
Nice.
5 minutes from the convention center, and no one ever goes there. You know?
Really? Because, like,
Yeah.
the place is packed all the time. Every time we go, we're always trying to get, like, reservations. Like, we usually end up at
Well, it's in a little different area, not in the gas
Jukes
lamp.
or something like that.
It's no area called Barrio Logan, which is like the next neighborhood over from downtown.
Oh, wow.
South.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, we'll take you, bro. On us.
Cool. I'm in. Let me know.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
like
definitely.
next year for sure, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Well, let's line us up.
2022.
Yeah,
Are
hopefully.
you doing convention and are you going to do Thanksgiving? Are you going to do
Yeah,
that?
No.
for
I'm gonna
sure,
try
bro.
to.
You're not going, Alonzo? I'm going.
I don't
My
know. I
birthday's
might.
right
I
around
might.
then, so I'm like, whatever.
It's Thanksgiving. For me, it's like it's about family, and this is gonna be the first Thanksgiving in like
Bro,
a year where I can hug my family members and like
You
spend
hope that you
time
can.
with them.
But you're gonna be going to Walmart and Target anyway. I'd rather go to Comic-Con, bro. You know?
Yeah, well, I think we haven't seen like my wife's family in like almost 2 years, or a year and a half. It's been a solid year. If we're gonna do that, then I probably want to see them, make sure they're doing okay, because it's like talking over the phone or Skype is just not the same thing. I think I'm with Alonzo, man. I probably want to spend time with family if we're gonna do that, because
See,
none
of you guys have a birthday around Thanksgiving.
no.
Because if you have a birthday around Thanksgiving like I do, I fucking hate Thanksgiving. Because
Why?
my
You
birthday
get
gets,
food and gifts, man.
Asshole.
but it's not my dinner that I get to choose. I have to have a turkey dinner. So my birthday, I want my meal.
You can say, "Hey, look, just pick me up a side of ribs on top of it." You know what I mean, or something. Because like, there's always compromise. I would say,
You said the magic word.
you should tell people, Jared, just say, "Hey, look, I'm gonna tell you what I want. So if you give me something and it's not what I wanted or asked for, it's like, hey, man, I'm gonna do the same thing to you on your birthday."
I'm gonna give you
There
some
you go.
The only
Some
good thing about
stuffing.
Thanksgiving, about being around Thanksgiving, I learned at a young age. I was like, "Mom, family, just give me money. You can give me $20 now. I can take that $20 and buy a lot more stuff after Thanksgiving when it's on sale."
That is true. Yeah, and plus they have the Black Friday sales. I don't know if people are gonna.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, that's it.
Just do everything online. You just buy it, boom, done.
They're gonna
Don't
cancel
have
that
to do it.
con anyway. I think.
You think so?
I think they're getting enough pressure from people complaining about it.
It's in November, bro.
And
Everybody's
it's
gonna
in-
be mucking
Why
But
up.
don't they do
also-
it? Well, why then? Why don't they do it? Because I guess my thing is like that is the most traveled time of the year next to Christmas. We're just coming out of COVID, but you're wanting people to travel that same time with all this other holiday travel. It's like maybe do it 2 weeks before.
I think that's a reason, though. That's a reason, though, to keep it small, because then you have to choose, right? Like,
Someone also
No,
pointed
so-
out online that they could do it Halloween weekend and solve the whole thing.
And everyone would
But I
be
think-
wearing masks. That would be great. Like, hey, wear a mask.
that would be cool. Yeah, that would make
Yeah.
some more sense, right? Come on, Comic Con, you hearing us right now, right? John Boy's saying John Boy's on his head. Let's do it. No.
Just
He
kidding.
wants to keep his tickets for Comic Con.
Like, we're under my table. Like, what?
Bro, yeah, I'm coming to your table for sure, man. I was supposed to come to your table at the at Revolution. I had a whole plan. I saved up all my money. I was gonna be like, John Boy, can you do me a quick
And they canceled it, right?
They canceled it because
Yeah.
you were supposed to be there. I was all stoked up. That was my whole goal. It was like submit some books to CGC and get a John Boy.
Well, hopefully we'll have that again. So fingers crossed, guys. We can.
No, man.
Well, John Boy, we want to thank you so much. But not only that, we want to let the Team Nerd Herd know that John Boy has been so gracious enough to send some giveaways. And we want you guys to jam in, hit those like buttons, hit those comments. And we at the Team Nerd Herd podcast will be picking 2 winners for 2 Jonboy Meyers. Not just 2. There's a lot more to come by. There's a lot more to come by, guys. Let me go ahead and just work the drum roll, please. And that's just not the only thing that we have. We
White
got
Widow, nice.
White Widow. If you're a Street Fighter lover like I am,
Oh, nice swimsuit
Cammy.
issue.
very nice. You got your virus signed, y'all. Oh my
Snake
god,
Eye.
look at this, Snake Eyes. You
might
guys,
have
if you
to pry
guys
that out of
do
Rob's
not-
hands.
you're gonna have to pry it off my hands. Because guess
Oh
what?
my god.
Look at this. It's
Hey.
just getting better, guys.
Oh.
We are just getting started, guys. Last but certainly not least.
Oh, is
we
that
got
my
these
girl
new
punchline?
Joker covers. That is your girl punchline.
Oh man, I'm gonna leave
So-
a comment.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Man, I
guys-
even hooked you guys up, man. She's like, we're gonna send a bunch of swag their way. I was like, cool. Do it.
John
That's
Boy,
right
thank
on.
you so much. Definitely,
thank you.
guys, hit the like. Definitely drop a comment. We will revisit. We will spin the wheel of fun. And 1 lucky winner, 2 lucky winners, a whole lot of lucky winners are going to get these down the line. So definitely
Winner, winner,
hit those
chicken dinner.
notification bells.
Yeah.
Hit those notification bells most definitely. But John Boy, thank you so much for being here with us. We greatly appreciate it, and we'd love to have you come back on in future projects. Thank you so much. Much respect.
Guys, Steve, Alonzo,
time.
Ian, JR, thank you guys for having me. It's been a blast. You guys are great to hang with. We need to do this again.
Definitely.
It's too bad we weren't recording all that other stuff. Went off all these tangents, but I'd love to be back. If you guys would have me, I'd love to come back and
For sure.
get to breeze with you guys.
Always.
Talk comics, talk about everything that's awesome under the sun.
Oh, for sure.
There we go.
Right.
Thank you, John. We appreciate you, man.
No problem. Thanks for having me. See you guys.
Have a good one, sir.
Take it easy.
Thank you very much.